Welcome to Between the Reads, where we shine a spotlight on some of the most talented Black authors in the industry to discuss their works of fiction and the inspirations behind them. Each episode, we'll dive into the rich and diverse world of literature, exploring everything from historical fiction to romance and speculative fiction to YA and beyond. Tune in as we celebrate the voices of Black authors and the power of storytelling. Are you ready, Boos and Bros? Then sit back, relax, and let's get to it. Sylvester Barzey is a best-selling horror and fantasy author who grew up in the Bronx, New York, and was later transplanted to Bethlehem, Georgia. A military veteran with an addiction to all things horror, Sylvester's goal is to shine a spotlight on BIPOC characters within the horror fantasy genre. Sylvester, welcome back to Between the Reads.
Hey, thank you for having me back. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, good. I'm glad you were back. You were on the show a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And I am excited. We talked about your book Stitches, and that was a compilation of short stories. Yeah. And so now you're back to talk about Youngblood.
Yes, Youngblood. I even
so
have the book too.
Oh, man, it's a gorgeous cover. Gorgeous cover.
Thank you.
Tell our readers what it's all about.
Okay, so Youngblood is about a girl named Raven who lives in the Bronx, and basically there was a pandemic where there's kind of like these zombie-ish creatures, and New York was ground zero. So, the government made these vaccines and they pumped it into New York, except the vaccines weren't tested properly. So like 1 out of every 10 people or something turns into like this bloodthirsty vampire. And so America just cuts off New York. They're like, we're done with this. We're not doing this no more. We just got one less state. So Raven's parents, they took the vaccine and they turned when she was 12. So she had to take care of her little sister since she was 12. And it picks up at 16 when she loses her caretaker and has to join the military underneath her caretaker's identity. It's very Mulanish. And because the military has decided to recruit and they're going to take the fight to the vampires. So she's really doing it for like a bed and a hot meal, but she's,
So how did what were the challenges and uncertainties of living through a real life pandemic? How did that influence your writing process for Youngblood, particularly in crafting a story that's centered on the themes of survival and resilience?
So I wrote it during the pandemic, most definitely. So it definitely has pandemic vibes. I felt like, I'm not sure if everyone got that. I feel like everyone got that. But during the pandemic, I didn't feel like we learned how to survive. I felt like we got a really good look at what everyone's really like, what our bosses are really like, what the government was really like. And it just kind of showed that no one really cared. So, New York was hit pretty bad, and they were having a whole bunch of issues and protests about like whether or not people should be allowed at restaurants and who should be like essential workers. So, that's when I decided, I was like, I think I'm gonna write about New York. I miss New York. Haven't been back for a while. So it was very easy to take that kind of like isolation and just the government giving up on you and just putting it into a post-apocalyptic thing. So, and I remember when I was growing up, I had a teacher, probably should have been on a watch list, but he said that if you ever wanted to, he was like, if a terrorist ever really wanted to take over New York, all they have to do is just blow up the bridges because it's just a group of islands. And that always stuck with me. So, yes. So that's what it is. It's just isolated. Definitely like Escape from New York, just taken away.
And so did you have any anxiety about writing this story during a pandemic?
No, I had anxiety about putting it out because like when you read the story, it's very kind of like anti-vax and pro-military, and I was like, that's not me. You need to stop. It just worked with the story. I got my vaccine and whatnot. It just worked with the story. So, because like I was done, and I had a really good time in the military. I was in the military for 9 years. I had decent times in the military. So,
Okay.
the aspects of the military that I wanted to portray was more like basic training. And everyone looks back on basic training very fondly because it's like the easiest thing you had to do in the military. You didn't know that at the time, but once it's gone, you're just like, oh yeah, I do this every day.
Right.
So I wanted to portray that. And I mean, it's just, I feel like it's a common trope in horror to be like, oh, well, the vaccine went wrong, or like CDC went wrong. So that was my only, I was like, I hope nobody comes at me. It's like, oh, you anti-vaxxer. I was like, no, that's not the case. Yeah.
Come on now. If somebody came at you the wrong way, I know you can handle it. Listen, y'all, I was hella impressed with Sylvester when he was talking about somebody. It was a conversation he was having with somebody. And he was like, listen, when you go low, I will dig your grave and laugh while I bury you. I was like, oh, okay, Sylvester.
Yeah. I'm a lot tamer person since I got married. I wasn't that nice before I got married, but my wife has dialed me down. So I would probably handle somebody, but it's okay.
Yeah. So, did you find it cathartic or challenging to immerse yourself in this intense, action-packed world of young blood while navigating the real life circumstances around you?
Yeah, it was challenging sometimes because like I was at home like everybody else. I wasn't going to work because I was working at Walmart at the time, and I don't know if they believed COVID didn't exist or something, but they weren't handling it properly. So I was like, I'm not gonna come anymore. So it was kind of hard to like wake up, watch the news. You're watching things about Black Lives Matter, and then you're watching things about the pandemic, and then it was all this negativity, and then like to go into my closet and start writing about a post-apocalyptic world, it was kind of like, oh, it just went from one thing to another. But I tried to make it fun. Like anyone that reads my work, I try to make people laugh every now and then. And that's normally just so I can escape from things. I don't like being like down too long. So
yeah, because you would catch me with these one-liners, like where Raven was like, yeah, I slept with somebody to be able to get Star some food. Just kidding, wanted to see if you were paying attention.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute, sir, excuse me.
Yeah.
You had some one-liners in there, you know, that really kind of like gave you a little bit of a pause, because it was definitely a page turner, and like, you know, there was constant action. There'd be maybe this teeny little lull, and then we were right back to the action.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I'm looking for the creepers and you know, and the vamps while I'm reading the story.
Nice.
So on that note, you've got creeps, we've got creep nests, we've got creep gardens, we've got vamps, we've got reapers, and we have suits.
Yes. Okay.
So let's talk a little bit about those. Tell our readers what they are.
Okay, so creeps are just your normal infected, the people that was hit with the virus. And I say they're zombie-ish, but if you guys ever seen like Blade 1 and 2, I would say in 1 there was a doctor that was in the pit that was kind of like a zombie vampire. That's pretty much what a creep is. That's how they are. But society thinks they're not intelligent at all. And because when the sun's out, the creep gardens, like the creeps will just stare up at the sun until their eyes fry. So that's the creeps. And then the vampires came from the vaccine that was supposed to save you from the creeps. And vampires break into 2 categories. There's vampires who sometimes they're bald, they're all in different groups too. So some people want to dress like Anne Rice vampires, some people just are normal. And beyond them, there are reapers. Reapers are mutated vampires. They have like devilish wings. They're just like brolic, and they normally lead their packs. So in the book, our Reaper is the queen, and she's just all about eating kids. So, and Suits are the corporation that made the vaccine. They handle the like food supply and stuff all around the city. So they're just, they call them Suits because they work for the company.
Yes, absolutely. Now, Raven has a lot of moxie. So I want to know what was the inspiration behind her character.
Raven, like I love just like strong final girls, like Sydney Prescott and definitely Sarah Connor. I like final girls. Like if you look at Catherine from Planet Dead, I like them that they can tell you off, and they don't really need you. You need them. So Raven is kind of like a mini Catherine, where she kind of believes she can do everything on her own, but now she's getting all this military training. So she's like, okay, I could use some friends. I could use some help. So she definitely, I think I definitely take that from Catherine. I think I just wanted to like make her nicer for a younger audience.
Now, I was kind of side-eyeing her a little bit, because the one part of the story that I was not buying was like, she's what, like 16 and supposedly taking the identity of this like 28-year-old. And I mean, people are looking at her sideways, but I'm like, come on now.
Yeah.
Come on. I mean, I know it's dire circumstances, so they're like, yeah, whatever. But I'm just like, wait now.
Like, so, yeah, I've gotten some people that I was like, that's just not believable. And I do understand. But I don't know. I've met some people in the military that look kind of young for their age. But I definitely think the fact that she didn't know Jack should have gave her away. But like, yeah. So I think it was just like when she first introduces herself as her alternate personality, she gets shut down right away. Like that sergeant's like, I'm not doing this. I'm not about to have some dead kid on my hands. But it's like the military are coming from outside. So they're seeing the desperation in New York. They're seeing that like Raven is willing to die to make sure her sister lives. So when you have something like that, like it was just kind of hard for him to say no. And he's just like, well, they need bodies anyway. She wants to save her city. Just let her go and do it, and fill out the paperwork from somewhere else so I don't get in trouble. That's how,
Okay. All right, so I would like to talk about Star, who is her sister, her younger sister, and she's autistic. So what was it like to write her character, and how did you keep her character authentic?
Star is definitely a product of my son. My son is autistic. He's nonverbal. He's 10 years old. He's been nonverbal for all his life. And it's just, it makes communicating with him very, very hard. But it's not that he doesn't understand you. He just can't get it out. So he's very, very intelligent, and he knows what he's doing, and he knows how to get over on you. So he knows all that. And I just wanted to showcase that. I wanted to showcase that just because a child is nonverbal doesn't mean that they're not intelligent, doesn't mean that they don't know how to do things. Like everything that happens with Star is kind of on the back burner, but like Star sneaks away on her own. Star gets her own food when she wants it. Star tries to teach herself sign language. Like she's more than capable of doing things. And a lot of that is because Carter watched her and took care of her and understood autism. So yeah, but I just wanted to show that an autistic child is more than capable of surviving and helping themselves.
And why was that important for you to have that kind of representation in there?
Because when I started writing, because what I was writing before was just strictly horror. It wasn't like any age limit or anything. But I decided I wanted to shift a little bit to YA because I wanted to have stories that I could like read to my kids and
Okay.
that they can connect to and relate to. So definitely having some kind of representation in there for my son was something big. So
Okay.
mhm.
All right. So now I'm gonna pick on you a little bit,
Go on.
cause bruh,
Do I?
you said you had one of the characters say in the book that New York was hell, but the only place worse was Jersey. Sir, what's your beef with Jersey? Says this Jersey girl.
Well, as a Jersey
Well,
girl, you know that growing up in New York, we just always ragged on Jersey. That was just always
yeah,
that's just always
yeah.
it. So I mean, that's
I
just
always came to Jersey,
yeah.
breaking up parties and starting shit.
Yeah. So like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, to make her a true New Yorker, she had to throw in like a Jersey jab or two. So
Whatever.
Yeah.
I almost threw that. You lucky that it wasn't a
Yeah.
physical book. It was on my Kindle because
What?
I almost threw it down like.
Yeah, when she was like, I think it was like, sending me to God knows where, and he's like, I think it's New Jersey. She's like, oh hell no.
Uh-huh.
So,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was like, okay, we got jokes. We got jokes. All right.
Yeah.
I see you.
Yeah.
That's why your ass is in Georgia now.
Oh, dang. Ooh, you went for the jugular. Okay, that's
jugular,
fine.
baby.
Okay.
Jersey girls, we are ruthless. You come for us.
Mm-hmm. All right.
You do not come for us. So now, Raven's decision to join the military marks a significant turning point in the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
She's so young, but she had to grow up so fast. And we ain't even going to talk about Mrs. Baker, her evil ass.
Yeah.
So can you discuss the motivations behind her choice, behind having her go into the military?
It's very kind of like back against the wall survivalistic thing. That's I feel like even in the real world, that's kind of how the military gets a lot of their people. There's some people will like for me, when I first joined the military, I got like booted out of college, and then I was supposed to I would have had to go to community college to get back on track and pay loans, and I was like, I can't do this. I'm not going to survive. So I went and I joined the military, and it was a breath of fresh air. It saved me from what I was doing, and it trained me to be good. I have a love-hate relationship with the military because when you're in it, it's very easy to be brainwashed. Like everything, all your training, everything you do, all the cadences you sing, it's just to make you feel rah-rah like Captain America. And then you kind of get lost in that. And you forget that like the government isn't always right and the military isn't always right. So I try and remember that. But yeah, that was, I feel like that was the main thing I wanted to showcase with her going to the military, because she was at this point in her life where she felt she had no other choice, and this was just a raft, a lifesaver, because she attempted to live her life normally like she would and go trade and stuff, and that went south. So yeah, so I think she definitely saw this as an escape and a way to save her citizen.
And now, Raven's nuanced portrayal as a teenage character, she's not a chosen one, but she's not by no means clueless either.
Yeah.
It reflects the challenges faced by Black girls in navigating trauma and vulnerability and fear. How does it reflect the challenges faced by Black girls navigating trauma, vulnerability, and fear in young adult literature?
I feel like Black women as a whole just have to, I feel like they carry the world on their shoulders. I feel like they're not given the space to break down or given the space to be angry or just to express themselves, because the world puts them in this box and they put these labels on them. And then when things like hit the fan, like Black women are always the ones that come and like save the day. Black women are the ones that lead the protests. Black women are the ones that try and change legislation and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I just I felt like I wanted to. I'm always about writing a strong Black woman, so I
Mm-hmm.
definitely just wanted Raven to be that. And she does have a lot of trauma that she has to overcome. I
Mm-hmm.
think she fools herself into this like tough girl bravado. She thinks she doesn't need any friends,
Mm-hmm.
but she thinks that everybody needs her. And then, like, slowly throughout the story, I think that all starts breaking down. And then she has to,
Mm-hmm.
like, comes to terms with losing her family and what it really means to be Star's provider, be Star's, like, protector.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
she definitely did have to grow up fast both
Mm-hmm.
times. So,
Mm-hmm. And why the hell did you have to put Miss Baker in this story? Her and her evil husband.
I guess I just really wanted to, because I that came after a line where Star and Raven do not want to go back to foster care, and I felt like I needed to drive home why they did not want to go back to foster care, because the foster care system, I was on a podcast about this, but it is really broken, and a lot of kids aren't getting helped and treated the way that they should. And some kids do make it out and they're perfectly fine, and some of them get, like, from foster care pipelined right into the military.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to showcase that Raven and Star, they ran into fosters that weren't very great. Because if they were great, if they were amazing people, Raven and Star would have been fine. Like, they wouldn't be running around a post-apocalyptic Bronx trying to trade stuff. They probably have gotten out, but they didn't have those type of people. They had people that just wanted to hold them and get food checks and beat them when they didn't eat the food and things like that. So
I could have done without them in this. I was
Yeah.
ready to just go in the book and just pull them both out and just the
Yeah.
Bakers.
Yeah. And
Horrible.
it definitely shows that at some point, Raven and Star went about it the regular route, and then they were just decided we're just going to do it on our own.
Yeah, we're like anything.
Yeah.
Being on our own has got to be better than this.
Yeah.
So now the book explores sacrifice and selflessness in the midst of intense, fast-paced action. How did you manage to maintain the emotional depth of your characters while keeping the story moving forward?
I feel like every one of the characters have their own kind of like deep turmoil that they're dealing with, and I didn't want that to be the sole thing for them, but it definitely guides all their decisions. Like Sergeant Black has issues, whether it be alcoholism, losing his wife, all this other stuff, but at his core he is a leader. All that other stuff makes him look bad and pulls him down, but at his core he is there to make sure those kids stay alive. So I wanted to display that, and so everything that he did was kind of driven from those places. And then we have Bozeman. I love Bozeman. Bozeman's like one of my favorites.
Nia.
Yeah. So she just wants to be a leader. She wants to be a sergeant. She went into the military with dreams, and then it's like she saw what the military was ignoring, and she wanted to stop that. She's a good person. She wanted to stop that, and that winds her up in prison. So it's just like I feel like all of them had their own things that they had to deal with, and as they came together as a group, I feel like they were kind of healing with each other. Like definitely Bozeman was definitely a lifesaver for Raven. So
So Who was your favorite character, and who was the character you hated the most in the book?
Uh, I think my favorite character is Bozeman. I've named her after Chadwick Boseman because when I created the book, it was around the time that he died, and I was just like, I want to do this. I'm gonna make her Bozeman. So I love Bozeman. She's just as badass. She's a perfect soldier. Yeah, so I love that. And my least favorite person, I want to say it's the queen, but I also don't like her sons. So yeah, I probably can't tell people who my least favorite person is.
Is it give something away?
Yeah, but when you finish it, you'll know.
Oh, I finished the book, and let me tell you. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I still think that the Bakers are right there with them.
Yeah. I feel like the Bakers are just like in your face evil. And then other people were kind of like low key evil. And then there's just people who are just like, they're evil, but it's only because this is how the world is now. Like the Bakers had no reason to be the way they were. So
right, yeah. Exactly. But the people at the Costco didn't have to be the way they were either.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah.
When they did what they did, they sent them in there, and then she delivered what she was supposed to deliver, and they were like, "Oh, you shouldn't trust people." I'm like, "See?
Yeah. See,
that's them New Yorkers for you."
Yeah, I definitely, because it's like, you see how innocent Raven is in that, because the story's told from Raven's point of view. So you can sometimes get lost in the fact thinking that she knows everything. And then you see the times that she doesn't. And that was definitely one of those times where, I mean, granted, what could she have done? She could have said no, but would that have gone well for her? Because she was locked in Costco with them. But it was definitely like probably a shot to the heart, mostly because she had Star with her, and she's probably like, dang.
Yeah. Putting that baby in harm's way like that, knowing what was in there when they got in there. Yeah, nah. Them, the Bakers. And the ones we ain't gonna mention, because we don't want to give the story. All of them, they need to be in the building, and the building be blown up. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. Okay. So, what was your favorite scene to write?
Although I really kind of like the whole third act with the battle and stuff, I get kicks out of doing funny and dumb things. So Star being the ghost girl was probably really funny to me, and I just liked writing.
Okay. Star was a cutie. I love Star.
Yeah. So her interaction with Ox was definitely fun for me, and the vampire training when they were trying to get past Ox and Young and all of them. That was nice because I wanted to figure out a way to make Raven look smart as a survivalist, but a way I wanted her to survive in a way that none of them would have thought of. So
right, exactly. Yeah. So was there a scene that just snuck up on you that as you were writing, it just happened while you were writing that you were not expecting to be in the book?
Probably what happens to Ox, because Ox wasn't really meant to be a big character or important in any aspect. He was just supposed to be there for the training, and then I just kept putting in places. So what happens to him when he gets to the Creeper's Den, that's definitely something that just kind of formed while I was writing. Yeah.
I got so many issues with these. I can't even talk to you about them all because we can't ruin anything for people. I'm just gonna say, brace yourself, y'all. Just brace yourself. Just it's. I mean, it goes quick. You just like, whoa, makes you hold your breath. But yeah, I got to slow around a little bit. So, Youngblood, this is the first in a series?
Yep, it's the first in a series called the Generation Slayer series. Okay. I planned it for 2 books. The publisher is thinking maybe more than 2 books, but yeah, I definitely, in my head, that's how the story was. It was going to be part B or part A and part B. So
okay,
yeah,
but now there may be more.
Maybe, but definitely there's going to be a book 2. It's probably going to come out next year, though.
Okay, what's it like? When about next year? Early, middle, late?
I didn't even start writing it yet, so so I'm gonna say middle. Stick with that.
Do you have an idea of how that story's gonna go?
Yeah, I have definite ideas. We're gonna explore the vampires with gold fangs. We're gonna explore the city more. We're going to get to explore New York more and meet the residents and see how they survive. And the main thing about 2 is I want to focus it on a daywalker. I want one daywalker, and I want the central focus to be them.
Okay, that sounds interesting.
Yeah.
So you haven't written this one yet, is there another project that you're working on right now?
Yeah, I overbooked myself this year. Yeah. I have 2 projects that I'm working on. Right now, there's a publisher called Darklit Press, and they're doing this like collection of pirate horror. So I have a book called Dead Soil, which is it takes place. It's basically the zombie apocalypse happens because of the evil of the transatlantic slave trade. So the evil of that has caused like the ancestors of Mother Nature to not allow anyone to rest. So when you die, you're just there. So
and this is part of an anthology, or this is something this is a whole book?
Yeah, it's a whole book. It's about, I want to say it's about a thickish novella. Like, so it's going to be a book. Each author has a book for that line. It's not a shared universe or anything. That probably would have been cool, but yeah.
So when can we expect that? I want to read that.
That comes out in September. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, that comes out in September. I was very excited with that. When you asked, did anything happen that I didn't plan? With that book, that was definitely the case, because the main character we got was not the main character that I started with.
Okay.
Yeah, so like at some point it just kind of switches to a different person. But
so it sounds like somebody's coming back on in October for Blacktober Reads.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Awesome.
Okay.
And I'm also working on a camp horror, so a summer camp horror. It's kind of it's a ghost story, but I got a slasher in it. So yeah. All right.
So you got a lot of irons in the fire.
I do.
Okay. So when do you think you're going to start writing the second book in this series, though?
Right now, those 2 books are just in me going through it, making sure it's good before I send them off to the editor. So as soon as I send those off, I got another book that I need to write. Well, me and my wife were working on this kind of like, I want to say it's either romance or erotica. I don't know, but it's a book. So we're working on that. And so I have to write that after I finish those other 2 books. And then it's going to be all Youngblood.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you're going completely different genre with the wife.
Yes, I am. She had this, it was a while ago she had this idea. It was like, I don't know if you know that urban fiction publisher, but he has like wild titles like My Baby Mama Has Rats in Her Apartment or something like that. So yeah, we read one of those and we were just like, this is crazy. And then me and her, we just like, I don't know. It just made us laugh. So we just kept throwing out names. And then she threw out something that I was like, that actually would make a good book. And it was side chick to sister wife. So it's all about a girl who thinks she meets the man of her dreams, thinks he's the one, but he is married. And that messes everything up. But then she's kind of like lulled into being a side chick and being a mistress. And she's like, okay. And then she finds out that he got another wife. And then that's when it's all like, oh no. So, yeah. So
alrighty then.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall when you and your wife were throwing out those names. Like, what are y'all doing?
Yeah, that was a funny night because, like, I remember I was just laying on bed laughing, and then she's like, side chick to sister wife, and I was like, hold up now. I was like, I might read that. Like, I told her, I was like, oh yeah, we could write that, and it was always just an idea until I think like last year I was just like, let's do it, let's just write it, and we're like up to Act 2, rolling into Act 3. So yeah.
Okay. All right. So where can readers find your books?
You can find my books at www.sylvesterbarzey.com/books or just sylvesterbarzey.com. I'm everywhere. I'm wide now. I'm no longer just in Kindle Unlimited. So, you want to get books from Barnes and Nobles and not support Bezos or whatever, go ahead and do that. So you can find my books anywhere. Yeah.
Okay. And where can we find you on the internet and social media?
I spend too much time on Instagram and TikTok. So I'm there at Sylvester Barzey. Every social media platform, it's just at Sylvester Barzey. If you don't find me at that means I ain't on it.
You said I'm not there.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming on the show and sharing your time and talents with us today. It's always wonderful having you here.
Oh, it was a great time. I always love being here. It's so much fun.
Great. And I mean it back. I want you to come back in October. I want that book.
Oh, definitely. I'm definitely coming back in October. I always want to come back in October, but
yeah.
I feel like I'm always late. I'll just like October comes, I'm like, oh.
Well, maybe we'll get you scheduled now so it's on the books.
Definitely.
All right, y'all, you know how I do at the end of every show. I like to leave you with a quote. And today it comes from Tananarive Due, Black horror author, and she says, I believe Black characters in fiction are still revolutionary given our long history of erasure. Until next time, y'all, you know what to do. Grab a book and read, and I'm out.
Thank you for lending me your ear today. If you've enjoyed this independent podcast, you can help me continue to shine the light on Black authors and their stories by becoming a patron at patreon.com/betweenthereads or by giving a one-time gift at www.ko-fi.com/betweenthereadspodcast. That's ko-fi.com/betweenthereadspodcast. Tune in next time for another great episode.